Hello, this is Yogeshwar 7000 again, and I'm back with another very important topic, interesting and important as always. And we've not talked a lot about yogas in my earlier videos. We may have talked about a few yogas, but as you know, in Vedic astrology, as per the ancient scriptures, there are hundreds of thousands of yogas given by various rishis or sages. And today we'll be talking about one such very important yoga, which you will see very commonly when you start to read charts and start to analyze charts, which is a Parivartan Yoga. Now, Parivartan in Sanskrit means exchange. That's the translation. So it's basically an exchange yoga, meaning which when planets exchange rashis or zodiac signs, that's when Parivartan Yoga or exchange yoga, as to make it simple, occurs. It's actually a kind of a relationship which is formed between two planets, and what happens because of the relationship. And the Hindi or the Sanskrit word for that is sambandha. Sambandha is created between two planets. So this is what the rule says, that a Parivartan Yoga occurs when the lord of one Rashi or zodiac sign occupies another zodiac sign, and the zodiac sign which it occupies, that zodiac sign's lord occupies the zodiac sign of the planet. So to make it simple, in other words, say for example Mars is the lord of Aries, as we know, and Mars goes and sits in Pisces in a birth chart. So Mars is occupying Jupiter's zodiac sign, because we know that Mars is ruling Aries and Pisces is ruling Jupiter. So Mars is occupying Jupiter's zodiac sign, which is Pisces. Actually, Mars also rules over Scorpio as well. So the exchange will occur when Jupiter, which is the lord of Pisces, where Mars is sitting, occupies Aries, which is the zodiac sign of Mars, or it occupies Scorpio, which is also the zodiac sign of Mars. So an exchange occurs, meaning which the lord of one zodiac sign occupies a zodiac sign, and the zodiac sign where it sits in, its lord occupies or sits in the zodiac sign of the planet which is sitting in its zodiac sign. So I hope I've made myself clear. I gave an example. Once again, say for example Mars is sitting in Pisces, and we know that Mars rules over Aries and Scorpio, and where it's sitting, the lord is Jupiter. So in case Jupiter occupies either Aries or Scorpio, because these two zodiac signs are ruled by Mars, then a Parivartan Yoga occurs. Means there's a relationship forms, there's a sambandha formed, there's an exchange formed. So this is an exchange yoga. And what happens? What is the result of a Parivartan Yoga? Well, the ancient scriptures say that it's extremely auspicious. Of course, they have given exceptions to the rule, which we are going to get to in just one second. So basically, the basic rule is that whenever there is a Parivartan Yoga or an exchange yoga, it is considered to be auspicious. Now, in what conditions does it become inauspicious? By the way, let's discuss a very important Parivartan Yoga before I get into the exceptions. It's about Indira Gandhi, who was the ex-Prime Minister of India, and as we all know that she was extremely successful in her political career, at least, and she had Parivartan Yoga in her birth chart. And as a matter of fact, there were 2 planets which were involved in the Parivartan Yoga. So, or 2 situations, or 2 Parivartan Yogas in her birth chart. And what were those? Well, if you look at Indira Gandhi's birth chart, the Lord of the 10th house, which is Mars, it sits in Leo. And the Lord of Leo sits in Scorpio. Lord of the Leo sun, it sits in Scorpio, which is one of the zodiac signs lorded by Mars. So that's one Parivartan Yoga right there. And since it is associated, or 10th house is involved here, that gave her a lot of political power. Then the second Parivartan Yoga, which you see in her birth chart, is given by Venus. So Venus sits in the zodiac sign of Sagittarius, and the Lord of the zodiac sign of Sagittarius, which is Jupiter, sits in Vrishabha, which is Taurus, which is actually a zodiac sign ruled by Venus. So that's also a very important Parivartan Yoga in her birth chart. And here, what are the 2 zodiac signs involved? The zodiac signs involved, like in the earlier Parivartan Yoga, the 10th house was involved. So that made her 10th house very powerful. And in this Parivartan Yoga, in her birth chart, if you study her birth chart, the 11th house and the 6th house are involved. Now, the 11th house is about desires and accomplishment of desires, very important. And the 6th house is about opponents, competition. So that also shows how she could overcome her opponents and also accomplish her own desires. So it's a very classic example. If you were to study Parivartan Yoga, go and study Indira Gandhi's birth chart. And there are other, of course, you'll find a lot of cases as well, other than Indira Gandhi. You will find a Parivartan Yoga related to Joseph Stalin, who was the dictator of Russia. And go and study, because he has Parivartan Yoga related to his 7th house in his main birth chart. So I'm not going to get into details about examples, giving you examples. I just gave you one example so that you can understand. So why is it considered auspicious? First of all, let's understand this. Why is Parivartan Yoga or exchange yoga considered very, very important and auspicious? Because what happens is that whenever an exchange occurs, then the planets, both the planets, as a matter of fact, both the planets which are involved in the exchange, they get very powerful. So it increases the power of the 2 planets which are involved in the exchange. So look out for those planets which are involved in the exchange yoga or Parivartan Yoga, and they'll become powerful. That's one reason why it's auspicious. Another thing happens is the Rashis, both the Rashis or both the zodiac signs which are involved in the exchange or Parivartan, they also get very strong. So these are the reasons why Parivartan Yoga or exchange yoga is considered auspicious. As a matter of fact, as per Sage Parashara, it's very clearly mentioned in his scriptures, which are given to us by Sage Parashara, is one born with such yogas can even attain kingdom and could be extremely famous. And you can see that in Indira Gandhi's birth chart. Now you're going to ask me a question that, look, you said that whenever a Parivartan Yoga occurs, whenever an exchange yoga occurs, both the planets which are involved, they become very strong, and both the zodiac signs which are involved, they also become very strong. But what if those planets are not auspicious for a particular birth chart. Because if you're strengthening an inauspicious planet, then it's not good for that person. And that's a very, very good point. So I would say yes, whenever the exchange occurs between malefics, which are natural malefics, then there'll be a problem. Whenever some planet which is not good, either because of the fact that it's a natural malefic or a functional malefic or a lot of an inauspicious house, then there is a problem. I totally agree with you. So look out for that. Just don't go blindly and see in the birth chart that there's an exchange yoga, Parivartan Yoga, and auspicious results are happening. Like in the case of Indira Gandhi, if you would see 6th house is involved in one of the exchange yogas. The first exchange yoga, the 10th house and the second house are involved, which is both houses are not bad. Of course, the second house is a Marg Sthana. We can talk about that later. But the other Parivartan Yoga which occurs is the 6th house is involved as well, along with the 11th house. And the 6th house is, well, not a great yoga. So she got some kind of mixed results also, along with the political power and along with attaining her desires, and to be able to overcome her political opponents. You know, there's some kind of a challenging situation for, or there had been some kind of challenging situations for her as well. So look out for whether the planets involved are natural malefics, functional malefics, or the zodiac signs are not great. Now, which zodiac signs would not be great? Look at it from the point of view of houses. So we know that Dusthana houses are not great. So whenever Dusthana houses are involved in the exchange yoga or Parivartan Yoga, not a great thing. And you know, it could give challenging results. As a matter of fact, it could give the opposite results, meaning which it may not be very auspicious. Then, of course, there's something called a Danya Parivartan Yoga, which is not a very, very auspicious yoga. And of course, the Danya Yoga is what I just explained to you, that whenever those sthanas are involved in the exchange, then it's a Danya Parivartan Yoga, which is not a very, very auspicious yoga, although it's a Parivartan Yoga. But since bad houses, like those sthana houses are involved, it may not, well, it will not give good results. It's not may not, it will not give good results. So look out for that. And then sometimes they say that the ruler, when the third house is involved and the ruler of the third house is involved in the exchange, that is also a situation where, you know, it could not give great results. And sometimes, you know, there's one Dusthana house involved and one very auspicious house involved, then it'll probably give you mixed results. So look out for those combinations. The basic rule is that whenever there's an exchange, the rashis or the zodiac signs involved, they get strong, and then the planets, both the planets which are involved in the Parivartan Yoga, they also get extremely strong. So look out for whether they are auspicious for you or not. Also, there's something called yoga, which formed because of aspect. So here, Parivartan Yoga or exchange yoga is where, you know, the planets exchange signs, but sometimes they aspect as well, aspect each other, which is not a Parivartan Yoga, but it's kind of an aspecting yoga, aspecting each other. So look out for that also, whether those planets are auspicious or not, inauspicious, natural malefics, functional malefics. And if there are functional benefics involved, then of course they'll give you good results. And if there are natural benefics involved, they'll give you good results as well. But whenever there's either functional or malefic, or I'm sorry, functional or natural malefics involved, then there could be challenging situations, just similar to what you would see in a classic Parivartan or exchange yoga. So hopefully, you know, I gave you my little take on what analysis I could do from the ancient scriptures, because whatever I speak is always from the ancient scriptures and based on my experience as well. Do your own little research, study charts with Parivartan Yoga, see what results people have gotten as far as Parivartan Yoga is concerned, what are the plants involved, whether they're functional malefics, functional benefics, whether good houses are involved, bad houses are involved, and then come to a conclusion yourself as to what results a Parivartan Yoga or an exchange yoga will do. So hopefully you enjoyed this video. In the meanwhile, I will recommend subscribe to my channel and check out my website. There is a link below, and I will see you with an interesting topic very soon. Goodbye.